experiences in life teach us valuable lessons. These lessons serve as feedback that inform us about what are the attributes that will help us achieve our outcome goals in life. Now, these attributes can be organized into 5 dimensions. The 5 dimensions are physical, intellectual, emotional, social, and spiritual. Spiritual also encompasses character and ethics. Let us examine each one. Did you know that it only takes 7 seconds for someone to form an impression about you? So, when we are addressing the attributes within the physical dimension that we need to pay attention to, appearance and hygiene come first, because these contribute to the impression that people form about you within a very short time, and these impressions are lasting, and this can affect the way people interact with you, which can make or break your outcome goals. So when it comes to appearance, you would want to pay attention to grooming, and when it comes to hygiene, of course, things like the way you smell, your breath, all of that is so important. Another aspect of the physical dimension is, of course, your health and fitness. And as you know, fitness and health could also contribute to your appearance and hygiene. So all of these components of the physical dimension need to be paid close attention to, and it is important to be at your peak in this dimension so that you can move along the path of least effort or least resistance when it comes to achieving your outcome goal. Next, the intellectual dimension. This dimension is made up of, first, the skills and knowledge required for one's job. So if you're a student, it'll be the subject matter that you need to learn, and if you're working, it's the technical skills and knowledge that is required in order for you to be able to perform your job well. Now, learning is an ongoing process, so this skill and knowledge are never quite exhaustive in your entire life. And that brings us to the second component of the intellectual dimension, which is learning how to learn. In other words, you must know how to teach yourself any subject matter or any knowledge or any skill that you identify as being pertinent to your achieving your outcome goal. The third component is epistemology. What is epistemology? Epistemology is knowledge about knowledge. It is the philosophy of the structure of knowledge, the nature, the origin, and what is the limit of human knowledge. And the fourth component of intellectual dimension is, of course, critical thinking. And we will get into these components in greater detail. The third dimension is the emotional dimension. Some people feel that the emotional dimension is far more important than the intellectual dimension in order to succeed. I'm not sure about that. However, my take is that given that two people have an equal mastery of their intellectual dimension, the individual who has a better grasp of their emotional dimension will probably fare better than the one who lags behind in the development of their emotional dimension. So what is the emotional dimension? The emotional dimension is made up of an individual's ability to recognize their emotions, in other words, aware of their emotions, what are their triggers, and along with recognizing or being aware of their emotions, they are also able to regulate their emotions and to express their emotions appropriately in given settings, and further to that also use emotions and expression of emotions to bring about results that take them closer to their outcome goals. The fourth dimension is the social dimension, and this includes developing the ability to understand others, to know their sensitivities and their triggers, and use this to build others up for common interest or for common good. This, of course, does not mean influencing or persuading others to act in a way that benefits oneself but to the detriment of others. But this means that you know how to interact with others to get them to cooperate with you in order to bring about a result that serves a common good, especially in a team or an organizational setting. There are many different explanations of the spiritual dimension. To me, the spiritual dimension is understanding the authentic nature of life. I think as humans, we go through life from experience to experience, discovering what are the universal principles through trial and error. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed. The failures and successes serve as feedback that help us discover universal principles that we need to adhere to in order to live life in a manner that we eventually achieve a lot in our lives, and we have peace and we have happiness, and those are universal principles. So the whole journey, the whole development of the spiritual dimension is about development of character and ethics that are aligned to universal principles, and we discover these from a feedback mechanism that is built into life in the form of successes and failures. And as we progress through life, we get closer and closer to this universal principle.